Hi, thanks for talking to me again. Good to see you.
See you too. From what
I
galaxy are you beaming in from today?
not sure. Gallifrey, I'll say that.
Perfect.
Um, so really enjoying this season. We only get to see three this time. I can't tell you I've seen eight this time. I've only seen three. But what I wanted to ask you is you direct this season again. Is it hard directing like your friends and people you know? Does that make it more difficult? Does that make it easier?
It can cut both ways, and I think it depends on the ensemble that you're working with. Sometimes it's very hard. I remember when we were on ER and both Tony Edwards and Laura Innes made the jump to being directors. It wasn't easy to suddenly see your compatriot in a different role. It's not necessarily comfortable to watch somebody who's been labor suddenly become management.
Yeah.
And so I was very conscious taking on that role of that and
Yeah.
wanting to be sensitive to it and make sure everybody understood that from that capacity, I was only looking to elicit their support and their contributions in a greater degree, because that's really what directing is it's asking everybody for their best and then being the conductor that just modulates sound, tempo, and pace.
Mhm.
And so I was I was pleased at how well it worked the first time, and that they liked the show and that they wanted me to keep coming back because I love doing it. And it's this is a particularly fun show to direct because it gives you a lot of creative freedom to execute these storylines
Mhm.
and in the way that you go about it technically. But it's not always easy. And to this cast's credit, they took to me beautifully, and maybe more significantly, they accepted Beth as a director. And I think the growth of her talent and career is we're just watching the very beginning of, and I hope they make her a bigger part of the narrative storytelling going forward. She's
Yeah, I was just talking to her. Is it hard for you to kind of do more than one thing at a time? Because if you're in the episode, you got that to deal with too. So sometimes.
it. I think she, like found, she will find that it gets easier. What you shortchange yourself of is the prep on the episode, because you have to act in the
Yeah.
episode that's just before it. So you get a little bit more efficient about how you prep, and you get a little bit more relaxed about what prep really is and isn't. And
Mhm.
I found that as I got more opportunities to direct this season, I was coming in with my plan, but looking at it a lot less and looking for things that weren't my plan a lot more. And finding that that was even more fun and exciting to know that I had a backup if I needed it, but be looking for the open door whenever a door would close, as a new sort of way of testing myself. And she's so talented. She's so inventive. She, I think, really wanted to be seen as a good director, to be accepted that way. So a lot of the energy was geared towards execution, and now it'll be more towards exploration, which is going to be really fun to watch.
What was kind of different about directing this than directing the librarians?
Actually, they're not too dissimilar because they're both shows are predicated on pace. You have to keep the energy and the pace up. Otherwise, you really lose the stakes of the what you're going for, and you lose the audience's attention. So either the actors need to be moving, or the camera needs to be moving, and there needs to be a real metronomic pace that's pretty quick. Um, this one, I think you're able to get away with a little bit more style. Sometimes you
Mhm.
can, in order to, you can go handheld, you can play with the toys of filmmaking a little bit more, because it lends itself with its slightly Ocean's 11 kind of slick, um, good transitions, really hard cuts to move the action along. You get to Librarians was a bit different in that regard, but they're not. I mean, they kind of
They're
because
similar.
they're John Rogers, Dean Devlin shows, so how different could they be?
Yeah, they're both. No, I like them both. I hope at some point we see more of that too. Uh,
Trust.
your character kind of does a bit of everything. I mean, he mostly grifts, but there's a little bit of other things in there. But what kind of skill out of the other people, what they do, would you like for your character to do more of? Would you like to see?
Obviously, I want to be the hitter on this show. Uh, the older that Elliot gets, the more he's going to need backup, and the logical backup choice would be to put Harry in. Uh, um, you know, John Rogers loves once explained this show to me as expert porn. People like to watch really smart people do really cool things. I've I can't see Harry ever getting to a place of expertise where it would be rewarding to watch him be good. I find him more rewarding to watch him be flawed. And so I like keeping him out of his comfort zone, and I like putting him slightly out of his depth, because that to me is where the most mileage for the character is. So I don't really want to become really great at anything, because I think that'll get stale fast with him.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, is it, I mean, obviously you do it as an actor, but is it hard to kind of flip back and forth between personality and his, Harry, and go back and forth? Is it hard to kind of keep track in your head of what you're doing when and that kind of thing?
I think it would be harder if we weren't shooting on location, but there's something about shooting in New Orleans, and I'm playing a New Orleans guy, and there's an energy to New Orleans, and there's an energy to the people in our crew, that it feels very immersive for me. When I come home, it feels so foreign to come home after doing it, that that's a bigger disconnect. But if we were making that show in LA, I think it would be more difficult to find that. So no, it's pretty fun. That's what I love about location, is it becomes a totally immersive experience. Everything becomes part of it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a favorite out of the identities that you've done so far, or
All
that are to come?
aspects of all of them. There's a big part of me that just will always wonder what John Carter's up to and what he's feeling, because he and I were so one-to-one for so long. So much of my joy of being a father comes out when I play Flynn. I love the librarian. I love wearing those clothes and being that guy. Probably the only one I don't miss very much, just because it was so hard to shoot, was the Tom Mason character in Falling Skies, because he was always cold and he was always wet and he was always angry and sad. And that's not the most fun headspace to occupy. But the rest of them I love dearly.
No, I get that. I was gonna say I like that show, but no, I understand it's probably hard. Do you like doing though the stunts? I mean, you obviously get some things in this one, not as much as in there, but
I like it. I like challenging myself. I find that I'm a little bit more cautious than I used to be, because the bounce back is a little bit harder, even on the normal bumps and bruises.
yeah.
But to me, it's still the most fun is being a kinetic and physical performer. So.
Right.
And then when you're working with Christian Kane, who does everything for himself, all of his own stunts, won't let anybody double him, and is so incredibly adept, you feel so inferior.
Gotta try to do it yourself.
If you don't try a little bit. So yeah, he brings out a little bit more than I'm comfortable with.
You've done so many characters though. Do you have sort of like something you'd still love to do, like a type of role, or I don't know, a character or something that you haven't played?
Oh, definitely. I still feel like the best is yet to come. I get excited about, I said it earlier in an interview, one of the great things about doing it for a while is you become somewhat analogous to a professional musician who goes to the orchestra pit, not worried about whether they can play the program, but it's about how we want to play the program. It's about the interpretation of it, and not so much the mechanics of it. It's lovely to get to a place where mechanics and technique are not the worry. The worry, if there is a worry, is in how to best execute the feel that we're going for, or the tone, or something a little higher than that. So that's what I'm excited about going for, is the stuff I wasn't good enough to do before.
Right. And then quickly, is there anything you can kind of tease that's coming for Harry this season? Cool.
There's a moment. I wrote myself a really good part in the episode I wrote, and I really wanted to see whether Harry could impersonate Elliot Stone for an entire act of a show.
That sounds like fun.
Pretty fun. Turned out pretty funny.
Oh, did you kind of work, I want to say, with him to emulate him? Like, obviously you tried to do it, but did you specifically talk to him about how to do it?
No, because I didn't want to. That's like waving a red flag in front of the bull. That's like saying, hey, I'm going to go make fun of you in a couple of scenes. How do you think I should make fun of you?
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. I'm excited to see it. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. It was good talking to you. Have a good day.